to the latest installment of the STEP seminar series. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Shawn Malley. I teach English in the Department of English right here at Bishop's. And the title of today's seminar is Waste Management, Wordiness, Redundancy, and Repetition. Now, for those of you who have been attending regularly the STEP seminar series, either in person or on YouTube or the Jessica channel, you have been thinking about the various elements that go towards constructing a good essay, including effective punctuation, syntax, rhetoric, argumentation, and the all-important research and documentation strategies. All of these elements, you gather, work together and must work together in order to create a successful and coherent essay. Now, often under the pressure of deadlines, especially at this time of year, what often gets overlooked is the importance of the editing process. Editing your work, giving yourself time to edit before you submit your papers or your assignments. All of your hard work preparing and writing is too often lost or too often compromised in a poorly edited paper. So this brings me to the subject of today's talk, reducing wordiness. So what do I mean by wordiness? Let's turn to your handout. There, it is written. A wordy essay does not necessarily violate the word limit of an assignment. Rather, it contains extraneous words that contribute nothing to the meaning and drain force from the essay's argument. Wordy writing is characteristic of a first draft, lacking direction and wandering around in search of meaning rather than setting out in orderly pursuit of it. You must revise and edit your work to make your arguments succinct and clear for your reader. Now, readership is a very important process in the evaluation of your work. You must write with your readership in mind. Remember, you are not writing your essays for yourself, are you? Let me tell you this. Ultimately, you are writing them for people like me, people who are putting a grade on these things. Now, there is a direct correlation between the time it takes me to read your work and your grade. That may sound a little cynical, but let me explain. If you write clearly and directly, I can understand and follow your paper. I will hence be able to understand what you're saying and mark faster. This, at this time of year, when I also have a big stack of papers to go through, makes me happy. Now, your happy professor is going to give you a better mark than an unhappy professor, right? So editing is an important thing in maintaining happiness for your reader, and that's somebody like me. And your grades, higher grades, will follow. So keeping these things in mind, I have a few tips and strategies for helping you to streamline your prose and to make the most out of your arguments. So let's turn to the handout that I gave you. There. Remember, wordiness interferes with direct communication of meaning. It will bog down your argument. So here's a simple one, redundance. We don't need to say the same thing twice. Mark, what does redundant mean? We all know what redundant means.
Saying the same thing twice.
Saying the same thing twice. Do we need to do that?
No.
No, we don't, because when we do that, we are just adding to padding. We are writing an essay that is in danger of becoming wordy, and wordy, you may have gathered at this point, is not a good thing. So, here's some examples. How many times have you come across the expression past history? Many, right? Yes, many times we've seen this term past history. You're not going to write this in your paper, you're going to see it. How would you revise this? You're writing a history paper and say the past history of Transylvania is filled with vampires and gore.
So is it in the history or is it in the past?
In the past or in history. We don't need both, do we? Okay, that's a simple one. Here's something that occurs often. Triangular in shape. Why is this redundant? It's obvious, absolutely. Triangular is a shape, so we do not need to be reminded that a triangle is a shape. You're describing something as triangular, and how would you revise this? You would simply...
Just triangle.
Triangular is nice, isn't that nice? We think of triangles, beautiful. Refer back. Here's another one we use a lot. Refer back. Why is this redundant? You already have the direction in that, don't you? Refer is perfectly fine. Here's a good one. It's a true fact that I'm wearing a stunning outfit today. Yeah. Why? This is clearly redundant. Why? Because
A fact is already true.
a fact is already true, right? So yellow in color, I think we get the idea. Yellow, we know, is a color. Basic essentials. The term essentials carries the idea of basic with it. We do not need to repeat it. These are small things, but what happens is, if I'm reading this, and I start thinking about all these redundancies that you're putting in your paper, I'm thinking, this person hasn't spent much time editing and revising their paper. And as soon as I start thinking that I'm reading a paper rather than enjoying the development of the argument, I start getting a little less happy. Okay? So, like I say, these are all fairly easy to identify, but yet they slip into our writing. Now, here's another pitfall. This often comes from being an overeager and overachieving high school student. When you're writing your papers for your teachers, what do they like to see in your essays and your writing? Sorry? Adjectives, everywhere. Why? Because this is a sign that you love language and you're going to use all this language, and that's fine. It's a sign to your teacher that you're an enthusiastic student. Now, you hit university, we know you're all enthusiastic, right? We know you're here because you've gone through this process of being an enthusiastic high school teacher. So now, you hit university, and all of a sudden, the way we use language becomes a little more formal, perhaps, yeah? A little more formal. Freely writing is a sign of writing that likes writing, loves words, loves language, but often, again, is wordy, and we can be more direct. So I say, choose a well-chosen unmodified word, often have more impact than modified words. So that means use strong descriptive nouns, and of course, very strong verbs to carry the meaning of your sentence. A strong verb is always stronger than a modified verb. Let's look at some examples here. So, if I write very angry, what does that suggest to you? If I can get a better word to convey anger rather than modifying anger, that conveys that sense of very, but in a more direct way, I would actually then be communicating that feeling, that emotion in a much more direct, tangible, and interesting way. So, can we revise this? I'm very angry. Do we have...
I'm furious.
Furious! That's a good word. I'm furious. Does that have more emotional impact than very angry?
Yes.
I think it does. I think we'd all agree. I'm rather uneasy about giving this seminar in front of a camera. I'm rather uneasy. Is there a better unmodified word I could use to explain the rather uneasiness I'm feeling at this moment? I'm nervous. That's a better word, isn't it? I'm nervous. I'm anxious. Doesn't that more directly convey that emotion and that feeling? Here's a good one. Really great. Really great. Now, if that's, first of all, sounds colloquial, doesn't it? You know, colloquial. It sounds like kind of playground writing. If I read it in your essays, this is a really great book. For instance, it's laughable, isn't it? Because it hasn't reached that level of university sophistication. So, but yet, the idea, the concept of being really great is still important to us. Do we have a better word? We could use an unmodified word that would convey the really greatness.
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal. This is a phenomenal book. Phenomenal book. And we know your position on this too. You're going to defend the phenomenality of this book. It's really great. How about this? Ate with a voracious appetite. I was so hungry, I was out in the woods all day and hadn't eaten, so I ate with a voracious appetite. Does that convey my hunger very well?
No.
No, it doesn't. It does. The language itself does convey that, but the immediacy of hunger is kind of lost in the wordiness, you see? What you're trying to say is always going to be couched in language. So your language for your reader has to be carefully chosen in order to convey what it is that you want to convey. So what happens if you put say Friday night after drinking and you put a box of pizza on the table around 4 hockey players? What are they going to do with this pizza?
Devour.
They're gonna gobble it, aren't they? That's a great word. Thanks, Stu. They're gonna gobble it. Absolutely. Devour? How about that? Devour? That's a good Halloween word. With things devouring us. Devour. Okay. Ran in a galloping manner. I mean, this itself is long and tedious. If I ran in a galloping manner, how could we shorten this? There's a word even there that we could use.
Ran.
Well, to gallop conveys the sense of running already, doesn't it? But running in a special way. A gallop would do. Stopped suddenly. To say stop conveys the notion of suddenness itself, and I think in a much more direct and active way. Okay? Using well-chosen words rather than modifying your words. So watch out for those old ly words, those adverbs. Use strong verbs. Use strong verbs. What I'm saying also here is not to limit your diction, limit the words you're using. Quite the opposite. But to, in fact, expand your vocabulary to use the proper word in the proper language which conveys the phenomenal nature of your reading experience. The stupendous opportunity it is to be in this class today. Avoid baggy, cliched, and tentative constructions. You know what a cliche is? We use language habitually over and over again. What happens after a while? It drains its force. It's like, well, here's somebody who's not being very imaginative in their writing at the same time. So, here's some examples. We encounter this expression over and over and over again. Due to the fact that. What does that actually mean? How can we say this more directly? Because, isn't it because? It's one of the most underrated words in the English language. Because. It's a great word. It expresses what? Because. It's cause. It's causal, isn't it? Don't be afraid of because. Make it your friend. Okay, during the first time that. That's wordy, isn't it? You might write that during the first time that. You don't really know what you're writing about, so you use a lot of words to kind of fill in that you don't know what you're saying. But then you come back and you're revising your paper and you say, oh my God, this is so ugly. During the first time that, I can simply put when is lovely, isn't it? Again, so underrated. When? Because when you start dressing up your expressions with during the first time that, you're saying there's something really important going on here. When what's really important isn't this phrase, but what actually is happening. So use your when. The smaller you can get things, usually the better. At this point in time, then we see that a lot. In this point in time, now. That's great, huh? Now. You getting the idea here, folks? We have ordinary, commonplace words that work very well for us in rhetorical situations, in your papers. I have come to the conclusion that, sounds pompous as hell, I have come to the conclusion that, how could we cut this to make it less wordy? Therefore works, I would say. Therefore suggests a rhetorical coming to a conclusion. Any other ways we can say this?
Ultimately?
Ultimately, sure. Or even there's even a word in here we could use.
In conclusion?
Yeah, in conclusion, or I conclude, or concluded. Again, we're doing the best we can to write as directly as we can, and simply as we can. There's this misconception that you need to be very convoluted in your prose. Because somehow, if you're convoluted in the way you write, your ideas will sound more impressive. That is not the case. That is a huge misconception. And that's when the irritability factor of your professor starts to get high. They don't understand what you're trying to say because it's convoluted. Strive to be clear and direct and as simple and as economical as possible when you write, and especially when you edit.